Hi, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Nick Cosgrove, and I'm back with this week's No Filter Q&A. This is the episode where I answer all questions related to diet, training, and supplementation that I've received over the past 7 days from our in-house clients, online clients, as well as a few of our online followers. Remember, if you have any questions related to your workout program, your nutritional plan, supplements you're taking, not taking, considering taking, please feel free to email me those questions at nick@foreverfitperformance.com. Or you can also DM me your questions on my Instagram at @fitcosgrove_. All right, so let's get started with this week's No Filter Q&A with question number 1. Nick, are bent over exercises dangerous? Every time I do a bent over exercise, I'm worried that I'm going to injure my lower back. Bent over exercises can be dangerous. They're more of a complex movement to teach in the gym, and they really require a lot of focus and creating that strong mind to muscle connection when performing a bent over movement. Now, whether you're doing a bent over barbell row, bent over T-bar row, hyperextensions, deadlifts, good mornings, you really have to pay close attention to a few things. One of the things is, first off, your core. You've heard about tightening your core. Well, what exactly does tightening your core mean? So the way I describe it to my clients is you're going to suck in your belly button towards your back, but at the same time, you should be able to breathe, right? You're not holding your breath. So that's contracting your core muscles, your transverse abdominals with your rectus abdominals. That's number one. Second thing is, as you go into a bent over exercise, what I like to get my clients to do is, let's say they're doing a bent over barbell row. They're going to take the barbell off the squat rack, and I like to do a little quick hyperextension. So they lean back with the bar just to stretch out that L4, L5 region, and then they'll go down into the movement. Now, once they get down into the movement, what I'll get them to do is tilt their glutes up towards the ceiling. What that does is takes a lot of pressure off the lumbar region as a whole. Finally, I will get my clients to focus on, if they're working, let's say, their upper back, I'll really get them to focus on keeping their shoulders depressed while at the same time retracting their rhomboids and scapula as they go into their movement. Okay, so those are 3 key points and cues that I'll usually give my clients while they're performing a bent over exercise in the gym. Another thing I'll advise my clients to do is 2 things when it comes to their glutes and their hamstrings. One of the problems I see in the gym when people are doing bent over exercises, they tend to round their back, right? So what happens with that is it puts a lot of pressure again on the lumbar region. So by making sure that you're doing a lot of glute work with squats, with deadlifts, ball wall squats, bench step-ups, you want to strengthen those glutes, but at the same time, you also want to do some active release work on those glutes with stretching, right? So you want to do some glute stretches as well. If you have a tight ass, it's not going to help you do bent over exercises in the gym. It's going to make it worse. And the same can be said for your hamstrings. So you want to do some direct hamstring work as well. Straight leg barbell deadlifts, straight leg dumbbell deadlifts. If you're at a commercial gym, lying hamstring machine curls, seated hamstring machine curls. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're not neglecting the hamstrings and the glutes. And again, you want to stretch out those hamstrings as well. Because if you look at an anatomy chart, you're going to see that the spinal erectors are connected to your hamstrings and your glutes. So if you've got a tight ass and you've got tight hamstrings, you're going to have problems when you go into a bent over exercise in the gym. So that's one of the reasons I see a lot of people in the gym when they do bent over exercises, they usually say, oh, this really bothers my back. And it's usually A, their core is weak, B, their hamstrings are tight, and C, their glutes are usually fairly tight as well. So those are the reasons why most people have problems doing bent over exercises in the gym. But if you work on your mobility and you improve your flexibility, bent over exercises should be no problem at all. For myself personally, whenever I do something that requires me to bend forward in the gym, I always make sure I'm doing a weight that I can control. And I usually do my bent over work at the beginning of my workout. Which I know might seem counterproductive to some people because, well, you're not warmed up yet. But I don't need to go super heavy to feel a pump. If I'm doing, say, I'm doing bent over barbell rows and I'm trying to work my upper back, I don't need to go super heavy. If I'm really focusing on contracting and squeezing my rhomboids and scapula, I don't need to be rowing 315 pounds. So slow and controlled. Make sure that you pause at the top so you can really feel that squeeze and lower the bar slowly again. Okay. So if you want to have problem-free bent over exercises in the gym, my recommendation, stretch out the glutes and the hamstrings, also stretch out your lower back, and make sure you're focusing on direct hamstring exercises and direct glute exercises in addition to your back training, okay? And put them on a separate day. You don't want to be training your back and your legs on the same day. That's going to cause more problems. All right. Next question. Hi, Nick. What are you recommending to your clients to eat now that the cost of food has gone up so much? I had this question a few weeks ago as well. Food prices have gone up and they're continuing to go up with inflation. So the one thing that I recommend to all my clients to do is buy in bulk. And the best place to buy in bulk, Costco. Okay. So whether you live in Canada or you live in the US, Costco is usually your best bet. And another reason why I recommend Costco is the quality of their food. Okay, I don't advise people to go buy their groceries at Walmart because I don't believe in the quality of the food is nearly as good as the quality of the food at Costco. Now, again, you can buy frozen meats that are crap at Costco too, but don't do that. You can buy nice lean cut meats fresh right at your local deli at Costco, right? You can buy in bulk. So I have a lot of people that say, there's no way I'm going to eat a packet of, let's say 14 chicken breasts. Well, then freeze it, buy it fresh and freeze it. Put 3 or 4 in a Ziploc bag and cook it for the week and then freeze the rest. It's not going to go bad. It's not going to get freezer burn, especially if you're going to go through those chicken breasts in like, say, 2 weeks, right? So I've documented this before on my Instagram when I go and I buy all that fish at Costco. I usually go through that fish in about 2 or 3 weeks. So I buy it fresh, I freeze it. I take it out the night before if I'm going to do a big meal prep. I'll take out a couple of fillets of salmon or trout, whatever I'm eating, cod, tilapia, let it defrost in the sink, and I'll cook it the next day. So honestly, that is your best bet. Because if you're going to places like here in Canada, if you're going to places like the IGA or Safeway, or if you're in the US or Canada, Whole Foods, those places are ridiculously priced. I mean, you can walk into a Whole Foods and easily spend $20 on 2 chicken breasts. Whereas at Costco, you can get 14, 16 chicken breasts for $25, right? And good chicken breasts too, like good quality chicken breasts. You can buy organic at Costco too. If you're someone who only eats organic, you can buy organic there as well. And I guarantee you the organic at Costco is going to be much cheaper than the organic at Whole Foods, Safeway, IGA, and so on. With that said, though, I have noticed, especially in the last few weeks, that a lot of the local grocery stores around me anyway are having these pretty good sales on their lean cuts of meat. So look for sales as well, because sometimes, you might see 30% off or 20% off. And when you see that, buy in bulk again. So that's what I look for. So definitely look for the sales, buy in bulk. Don't be afraid to, if you see something on sale, buy extra of it and freeze it. If you don't have a freezer that's big enough, buy a dry freezer. Okay? That doesn't take up much room. And honestly, that's your best bet, because I don't see prices of food going down anytime soon. So if you're working on a budget, or even if you just don't want to get ripped off, go to Costco, okay, and get all your food there. You should be able to get most of your food. Obviously, things like vegetables and stuff that you need to buy fresh, and you might not want to go to Costco every day for that. It's a little bit different, but for the most part, your complex carbohydrates, your sweet potatoes, your quinoa, your yams, your brown rice, oatmeal, get it all at Costco. Your lean cuts of meat. If you're a vegetarian, they've got lots of options there. You can get your beans, you can get your lentils. So, I mean, that's what I would do. Buy in bulk, go to Costco, look for sales. Okay, next question. Hi, Nick. I reached out to a personal trainer in my area and explained to him that I'm only interested in working with a trainer once a week and doing a few workouts on my own. He told me that he only works with clients that train with him at least 3 times a week. Just wondering if this is common with other trainers. It is quite common. I know quite a few trainers that do that will only work with a client if the client wants to work with them 2 to 3 times a week. It's something that I've never done. Well, look, a lot of people, they can't afford to work with a trainer more than once a week. And some people, time restrictions, right? So, I mean, it's really up to the individual trainer as to how he or she wants to conduct their business and run their practice. I have quite a few clients that only train with me once a week. The only thing that I make it clear to them is they have to be doing something on their own as well, because if they're only going to the gym once a week, honestly, they might see some results, but they're not going to see significant results. And that's the reality. So I never pressure people to train with me more than once a week. I mean, I always tell clients, how often can you train with me and how often can you train on your own? And I have a lot of clients that just say, look, I can only actually get in to see you once a week, but I'm willing to do 2 or 3 workouts on my own. Can you do a workout program for me? Absolutely. I have clients that work with me on my online coaching app in addition to working with me on the floor. So that's how we make that work. In the case of this individual with the trainer here, that is common. I do know trainers that do that. I personally think it's a bad way to run your business because you're turning clients away. There's a few reasons, though, I know why some trainers, not all, but I know why some trainers do that. One is because, they feel like, well, if I can get someone who comes in 3 times a week and I'm charging them, let's say $150, I'm making $450 off this one person versus someone who I see once a week, I'm only making that $150. They're going to try to advertise to the person who wants to see them more. That's one reason. Another reason is because a lot of trainers use their clients as their marketing tools, right? So if someone's only working with you once a week and they're not getting results, the trainer might think, oh, this looks poorly on me as their personal trainer. Meanwhile, the trainer is trying to do everything he or she can in those 60 minutes with that individual. But if you only get 60 minutes to work with someone once a week on a 24-hour day, 7 days in a week, that doesn't give you much time to make much of a difference in that person. So some trainers might feel that it reflects poorly on them and what they can do with their clients. So that's another reason why some trainers don't work with clients who only want to train with them once a week. It's actually quite common. But like I said, I've always been open to working with anyone. So if someone says to me, hey, I can only afford to work with you once a week, no problem. I have clients who can afford to work with me 7 times a week, but time restraints, they might only be able to see me once, maybe twice a week. So that does happen. So I just remind them, I say, well, if you're only seeing me once a week, you've got to be doing something at least 2 or 3 times on your own. And if you're not, it's not a waste of money, but the reality is you're not going to get incredible results. That one workout a week, it's better than doing no workouts, absolutely, but it's not going to create significant change in your physique or your health. So you will find trainers that will work with you, gladly work with you once a week, but a good trainer will remind you that the reality is you need to be doing stuff on your own. It sounds like you are. So I would just keep looking for that trainer that's a good fit for you, that's willing to work with you once a week. But don't be surprised if you come across quite a few trainers that say, no, I'm only taking on clients that work with me 2, 3, 4 times a week, because it is quite common. All right. Next question. Okay. Hi, Nick. If you're tired on a day you intend to exercise, is it better to push through and work out or rest and postpone for a day till you feel better? I always tell my clients to listen to their body, but at the same time, don't underestimate the power of showing up. Okay. And what I mean by that is there are times when I don't feel like training and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a bad workout. And some of those workouts are my best workouts. I'm tired. I've had very little sleep. I maybe missed a meal. I'm stressed. And all of a sudden, after 2 or 3 sets, I'm like having this amazing workout. I'm hitting new PRs. I feel great. And I've seen the same thing translate to clients that I work with on the floor. I've had people come in and say, hey, I think we're going to have a light day today. I'm feeling a little under the weather. And then 10, 15 minutes in, they're training like I've never seen them train before. So, there's something to be said about listening to your body, but at the same time, as I said, don't underestimate the power of showing up. Okay. There's that saying, there's no such thing as a bad workout. Well, that's not true. There are bad workouts. I've had bad workouts. Most people watching this have had at least 1 or 2 bad workouts. They happen, right? Just like injuries do happen in the gym, bad workouts happen all the time. But if you're feeling really run down, tired, you feel like maybe you're coming down with something, then my recommendation is to take a day or 2 off from the gym, because you're only going to do your body worse. Take it from someone who used to overtrain all the time. I would go to the gym if I was dying on my bed. If I had the flu, I would still try to find a way to get to the gym. And it just made me feel worse. So that's when it comes down to really listening to your body and say, okay, am I tired and I'm just feeling like a little unmotivated to go to the gym today? Or am I feeling like, hey, you know what? I feel like shit. I think I'm coming down with the flu, or I'm really dealing with a lower back injury. I should go see an RMT. Take the time off, because if you're going into the gym and you're feeling sick or run down and you go in there and you say you're squatting or you're benching, and all of a sudden you're not paying attention, something slips, you injure yourself. Now you're out for, never mind a few days, you could be out for a few weeks or a few months. So you really have to listen to your body. And I truly believe that the more that you train and the stronger that you're able to create that mind to muscle connection with your body and learn and listen to your body more and more, you become more in tune with your body. Like myself personally, I really feel like I'm in tune with my body. I understand when my body needs me to back off. I understand when I'm saying, no, I'm just feeling tired and unmotivated. I can get myself to the gym. And that just comes with just the more that you train in the gym and you just learn your body properly. You really learn to listen to your body. A lot of people who don't work out, don't exercise regularly, they don't really know what's going on with their body half the time. And a lot of people think that it's normal to feel tired in the middle of the afternoon or to feel really exhausted when they get home from work. And no, those aren't normal feelings. You should feel fairly energetic throughout the day without having to rely on stimulants. Right? I know people who can't even have a conversation until they have 1 or 2 cups of coffee in the morning. I'm like, you're relying on stimulants just to get your brain to wake up. Like, that's not good. So you really have to become more in tune with your body and say, okay, what does my body need right now? Do I need more nutrients? Do I need some healthy fats? Do I need some complex carbohydrates? Do I need a little bit more lean proteins? Like, listening to your body. Do I need a few more hours of sleep? Do I need less hours of sleep, right? I mean, so these are all things that you learn over the years, especially the more that you train and exercise, because then you can really create, as I said, that mind to muscle connection with your body. And then you understand your body more and you understand how to fuel it properly, when to back off, when to hit it hard. So to answer that question, listen to your body, but at the same time, don't underestimate the power of showing up. All right, next question. Nick, which exercises help you? Oh, sorry, Nick, which exercises help with weight loss besides burpees and skipping? I don't have any of my clients do burpees or skipping. I think both are stupid exercises, so I don't ask any of my clients to do them. If it's an exercise that I won't do, I'm not going to ask my client to do. So for the record, if you ever train with me in the gym, I promise you I will never give you burpees because I think burpees are stupid. So if I'm not going to do burpees, I'm not going to make you do burpees. Okay. Anyway, get back to your question. Which exercises help with weight loss? All exercises help with weight loss. Yeah, you go do cardio, that's going to help with weight loss. But if you're asking me about resistance training exercises, all of them, because at the end of the day, every exercise you do in the gym is going to help you build muscle. And as I said before, the more muscle you have, the more calories your body burns in a rested state. Okay, so that's very important. So are you going to burn more calories doing exercises like squats and deadlifts versus let's say a dumbbell preacher curl? Yes, absolutely, because you're exerting more energy to squat than you are to curl. But at the end of the day, the results are you're going to create more muscle on your arms, you're going to create more muscle overall. So that dumbbell preacher curl long-term is going to help you burn more calories, which will equate to weight loss or fat loss in your case. Okay, so every exercise. There's no, in my opinion, one exercise better than the other. If you're following a good training program and a good full complete training program where you're targeting all the muscle groups in the human body and not neglecting any muscle groups, you're going to lose body fat. Yes. As long as your diet is in check. And I don't necessarily say you have to go into a caloric deficit, depending on how much weight you need to lose. But as long as you're following a good training split and training each muscle group at least once a week, you're going to build muscle and you're going to lose fat because your body burns more fat in a rested state with the more muscle you have, period. All right. Next question. Hi, Nick. Could you please explain why you were doing 2 presses through your calves on your standing calf raises video you posted the other day? The video you're referring to, I posted, I think it was on Wednesday. And it is a standing barbell calf raise where I'm using a weighted plate on the floor, standing on my toes. And what I'm doing actually is I'm doing a double press. So a standing calf raise, I put a barbell on my shoulders. I'm in the squat rack. I'm leaning forward. I'm using the rails of the squat rack as my glides. My toes are on a weighted plate. What I like to do though is I like to do what we call a double hop. Okay, so a double press, whatever you want to call it. So what I do is I get on that plate on my toes, I stand on my tippy toes, and I do one more hop on my tippy toes. So it's like a 1, 2. The reason I do that is because with your calves, you want to contract both what we call your gastrocnemius and your soleus. Those are the two muscle bellies in your calves. Okay, so that's why I incorporate the 2-hop on my calf raises. One of the biggest mistakes I see when people do calf raises in the gym, one, they don't use full range of motion, and two, they're not activating both their gastrocnemius and their soleus at the same time. They're only activating one or the other. Okay, so by initiating that 2-hop, if you go on my Instagram, the video is posted right now, you can see it. I am doing a 2-hop on the weighted plate. So it's coming up 1 and then again 2. And that ensures that I'm taking, I'm using full range of motion because then I go all the way back down, but I'm going all the way up and I'm activating both my gastrocnemius and my soleus. So if you're doing your calves and you're having a hard time building them, try that technique, because I promise you it works really well. You're not going to be able to go very heavy. Just remember, though, whenever you're doing a standing calf raise, don't lock out your knees. You want to keep a slight bend in your knees. There should be no exercise that you ever lock out any of your joints. So you always want to leave a slight bend in your knees. If you're unfamiliar with how to do calf raises, go to my Instagram account. The latest video that's up right now is of myself doing the standing calf raises that this person's referring to. And again, try that double hop. You'll see me doing it. And I promise you, your calves are going to burn because you're working both your gastrocnemius and your soleus at the same time. Okay. Hi, Nick. I just started lifting weights seriously about a month ago, but noticed that I seem to get weaker after each set. I end up having to decrease the weight I'm lifting as the workout progresses. Is this normal? That is very normal. And that's what I call the lack of glycogen factor. Okay. So I've gone over glycogen in the past. Glycogen is like oxygen for your muscles. So if your body is not used to resistance training, or you've taken an extended period of time off from the gym, your body has no reason to really produce glycogen. So what happens is, as you come back to the gym and you're training, yes, you're going to notice that you get weaker as the workout progresses. Okay, so if you're doing, let's say, an incline dumbbell chest press, and let's say you start off with 25-pound dumbbells, get your first set in, 15 reps, feels great. You go back for your second set, and all of a sudden it's like, I can't get 15 reps. Now maybe I can get 12 reps or 10 reps, but it's the same weight. Reason is your body is not as efficient at building the glycogen reserves needed to continue to push that weight. Okay, but here's the thing: is the more consistent you remain in the gym, that no longer becomes an issue. Okay, so you have to be consistent. You have to stay with it. And I always tell this to new clients. I always say, the first few weeks, the first few months are going to feel like shit. You're going to want to quit. You're going to want to leave. You're going to leave the gym feeling sore. You're going to be sore for days. Things are going to hurt. It's going to get frustrating because you're going to be lifting weights and all of a sudden your muscles just give out. But what happens over time is that your body builds muscle, number one, and your body is able to A, get rid of lactic acid more efficiently, but B, also replenish glycogen storages more efficiently. Okay. And also it comes down to obviously dietary nutrition. So if your diet's in check, that's only going to propel that to even faster for you to get to those results, right? So you're going to be able to get to execute those heavier weights even quicker because now your nutrition is in check. Okay. So it comes down to replenishing glycogen storages more efficiently, getting rid of lactic acid more efficiently, and that just comes down to training more consistently in the gym. So stay with it. You've only been training for a month. Okay, I promise you it will get easier. As long as your diet is in check and you're training properly, you're following a good training split. Don't be going in the gym and doing the same workout every day. Follow a good 3 or 4 day training split and go from there. I promise you that you will start to notice that your strength starts to go up. Okay, so it's aggravating. I know. I've been there myself. I talked about this in the past. After I had my appendix taken out 2 years ago, I take 6 weeks off the gym. And when I came back, it was like starting from ground one again, ground zero. It was like everything felt weak. And I was noticing I would start off with a weight that would be easy for me, get my reps, in the next set, I wouldn't be able to get those same reps with the very same weight. But after a few weeks, my body's ability to replenish glycogen storages and get rid of lactic acid more efficiently. As that happened, I noticed that my strength started to go back up. So be patient. I promise you it will go up. Okay. Hi, Nick. Is it necessary to have a cheat meal each week? I really like the diet you have me on and don't ever have cravings for foods that are not on my plan. I'm also worried that a cheat meal might trigger a binge for me at some point. No, it's not necessary to have a cheat meal each week. So with my nutritional plans, I like to give my clients at least one, sometimes two cheat meals a week. Not cheat days, cheat meals. The main reason I actually do that is just to provide a sense of normalcy. A lot of people, if they have a partner or they want to go out with their friends, they have a birthday party to go to, they don't want to have to be so regimented with the diet. Nobody wants to show up at a birthday party with a Tupperware full of food. You're going to look like a freak, right? So that's why I like to have a little bit of flexibility in the nutritional plans that I design for clients. And I say, you know what? You can have one, sometimes two cheat meals a week, depending where we're at on the plan, depending on the person I'm working with, depending on their goals. But for some people, I have a few clients, including myself, that don't even do cheat meals. I don't have a scheduled cheat meal. If I feel like something, I'll have it, but usually I just stick to the diet. And that's just because, like you, I like the food that's on my plan, so I don't feel an urge to cheat. And if you know that there's certain foods that are trigger foods for you and it's going to create a binge, absolutely, I agree. Don't have a cheat meal. What you can do, though, is if you like the foods on your plan, have a little bit more, right? I have some people that really like, say, peanut butter, right? And I'm like, well, once a week, if you want to have an extra tablespoon or two of peanut butter and throw it in your oatmeal and protein shake, go for it. Live on the edge. Like, have some fun with your diet. You don't have to be so regimented 24/7. Because the problem is if you're regimented 24/7, that's also can create eating disorders, right? So the main reason I like to have my clients do at least one or two cheat meals a week is this to provide that sense of normalcy. So it's not the same thing every day and people get all weird about their food and then they can't go out for dinner with their friends or their partner. And no, you can do that. You can live your life, okay? Unless you're training for a fitness competition, you don't have to be super regimented 24/7. And even my clients who I train for fitness competitions, I let them have one, sometimes two cheat meals a week, right? So it just depends on the individual I'm working with. And I mean, you know your body better than anyone else, right? And that's the one thing I ask when I'm working with clients. I'm like, are you an emotional eater? Are you someone who, if you have this, like, say, burger and fries, is that going to send you down a spiral and you're going to be going crazy and having ice cream and cake and brownies and all this stuff later on? Some people can have one cheat meal and call it a day and then that's it. They're fine for another 6 or 7 days. The one thing I do recommend to all my clients, though, is when they have that cheat meal is to have it as their last meal of the day. And the reason I do that is because they had that at meal, let's say they have it at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night, they eat their cheat meal and then they go to bed. They forget about it. Next day, they get right back on the diet. Whereas if you have that cheat meal first thing in the morning, let's say you go out for a breakfast and you have pancakes, syrup, and muffins and all this crap, you're going to be craving sugar for the rest of the day. So you're most likely going to cheat again. So this way, you go to sleep, you wake up, you're ready to get back on the diet again. So if you are going to do a cheat meal, I advise my clients, and I advise you if you're watching this, to do your cheat meal towards the end of the day. And if you don't want a cheat meal, you don't feel you need a cheat meal, don't have it. Okay, you don't need to have it. Like I said, I don't have one. I just, whenever I'm craving something, I have it. If I'm out at a restaurant, I'm not weird. I'm not like, oh, I can't eat that. I'll eat it. If I go to someone's house and they make me something that I don't normally eat, like say pasta or steak, I'm not weird about it. I'll eat it. But I'll say, well, I'm just going to be back on my diet tomorrow. I don't even give it a second thought. It's not a big deal to me. But if you're someone who feels that having that cheat meal is going to trigger a problem for you and it's going to send you down a downward spiral, don't have it. Okay. Stick to the foods that you like. And that's the thing about following a nutritional plan that is sustainable, is that it's one that's enjoyable. Okay. And that's very important. I mentioned that on one of my Instagram stories the other day, is that if the diet is not sustainable, it's not going to be successful. All right. Nick, I know you like the muscular look on women, but I feel I get too bulky when I lift weights. If I trained really light and just did more reps, like 25 to 30, would I still be able to maintain lean muscle? I don't know. I don't know why you think I like the muscular look on women. I do think muscle on women does look good, but it's not like something that I'm like, oh, I love muscular women. I just think that muscle on women look good. It looks healthy. It looks like you're fit. It looks like you take care of yourself. And I like that look on men too. It just looks like you go to the gym, you actually really take care of your health and your physique. Nothing wrong with that. I don't like overly muscular women, and I've never trained women who are overly muscular. The only time I've seen women who are, let's say, too muscular are the women who are using anabolic steroids. But I don't train women who use anabolic steroids, so I've never really worked with any women who are overly muscular. Anyway, your question is, sorry, if you train light and just did 25 to 30 reps, would you still be able to maintain lean muscle? Sure. You'd probably lose some muscle though too. So if you want to lose muscle, the thing is, so when times I have people who tell me I don't want to lift too heavy because I look bulky. Usually the reason why, and I'm not saying you, but I'm saying usually the reason why people claim to look too bulky is because they've got a layer of body fat over their muscles. Okay, and that usually comes down to your diet. Because if you have lean muscle and your body fat levels are not super low, but low enough, you shouldn't look bulky, right? Usually the people, and it's the same thing for the guys. I say this to the guys too. I'm like, yeah, you've got a lot of muscle, but you look like the Michelin Man. You look soft. And it's because you have a layer of fat covering that muscle. You've got this beautiful muscle, but you've got this layer of fat covering it. That's why you look bulky. And again, I'm not saying you because I don't work with you, so I don't know what you look like, but I'm saying in general is that most people who tell me, oh, I don't want to go too heavy because I look bulky. I'm just like, well, you look bulky because your diet is shit. And honestly, that's the truth. It has nothing to do with the way you're training. It has to do that you're eating. Because I work with a lot of women who lift very heavy and they don't get bulky. Now, yes, there are some exceptions to the rule. If you're genetically just big boned and you notice that you get like larger muscles, that can happen for sure. But again, if your body fat levels are low, you shouldn't look bulky. You just look like, okay, yeah, you have larger muscles. In that case, if you don't like that look, my recommendation is not necessarily to take your reps to 25 to 30. Still keep your rep ranges between 12 to 15, but take very little rest in between your sets. So you're not going to be able to lift ridiculous heavy weights. If you're following a basic straight set program, and let's say you're doing barbell back squats, right? And you're squatting 45 aside. Well, if you keep that rest period to 30 to 45 seconds as opposed to 90 seconds to 3 minutes, you're not going to be able to lift as heavy as if you were to take an extended period of rest, right? So what I would just do is I shorten your rest between sets, circuit train, do some HIIT training, right? But I wouldn't necessarily purposely try to lighten your weights and keep your reps super high, because what's going to happen then is you're going to lose muscle. Okay, so will you be able to maintain lean muscle mass doing 25 to 30 reps? Possibly, but in my opinion, it's not the look that you think is going to happen, because most people who do reps that high, it's very hard to build muscle because the weights are too light. So what I would do is I just keep the rest periods shorter, really train intensely. Don't get caught up on how much you're lifting, but I promise you, if you're keeping very short rest periods, you're not going to be able to lift that heavy. I'll use myself, for example. When I squat, I've talked about this in the past, so I'll squat 315, right? I know that I could squat at least 100 pounds heavier. I do know that I could, if I were to give myself an extra 3 or 4 minute break. But because I keep my rest periods so short, as in short, like 45 seconds, that's it. My legs aren't huge, but they're very cut and defined. Okay, and the reason is I keep my reps high and I keep my rest periods short. So my weight doesn't need to go super heavy. And I get great results from that. And that's the same format I use with my clients. Keep the rest period short, keep the intensity high, use high volume training, throw in some HIIT training, and you shouldn't have a problem getting too bulky as long as your diet's in check. And I promise you, the number one reason why most people look too bulky is their diet. All right. I think, oh, no, we've got one more question here. Oh, yeah, one more question. Nick, what exactly are ultra-processed foods? I know why I'm getting this question. There was an article on Nancy Pelosi the other day about her hot dog eating frenzy that she does. I think she eats one hot dog every day for lunch, and she's 82 years old, and she was talking about how she has a hot dog every day. And now she talks about how she has chocolate ice cream for breakfast every once in a while. First of all, I wouldn't recommend doing what Nancy Pelosi does with her diet. Most, but not all, but most American politicians, when it comes to diet, and I mean, I don't want to say that they're all have terrible diets, but let's face it, I mean, the American diet is not very healthy, right? And when I look at a lot of these politicians, I'm not really seeing many politicians who are in the greatest shape. Yeah, she's 82, she's got some longevity, but she's not in the best of shape. So I wouldn't necessarily do what she's doing. And I know the reason why this person's asking this, because we had this conversation earlier today. So here's the thing, ultra processed foods, okay? They're typically foods that you cannot make at home. Okay, so they're foods, you have frozen meats. You go to the store, you buy your frozen meats, those spring rolls, right? Chocolate bars, hot dogs, bags of chips. Those are the foods that are ultra processed. And your question was, what exactly are they? So when you're thinking about these foods, you got to think, well, we already know what processed foods are, but ultra processed foods are the foods that are really bad for you. They add tons of preservatives, tons of chemicals in them, and they're very addictive. They add additional sugar to these foods. So a lot of times there's a lot of cereals that are ultra processed. I mean, I've talked about this before. If something has a shelf life of 5-10 years, do you really want to put it in your body? Like, you can just keep it on the shelf for 5-10 years. I'm not talking canned goods here. I'm talking about cereal in a box, a chocolate bar that sits on a shelf. It doesn't really ever go bad. You should be questioning that. So because someone like Nancy Pelosi has a hot dog every day, and she's this politician, and she's like this, apparently a lot of people, they think she's this high end. I'm not saying she's not intelligent. When it comes to dietary nutrition, she doesn't know shit. And unfortunately, most people, especially politicians or anyone who, you look at these speakers, they don't really know anything about dietary nutrition. Look at the U.S. food pyramid that came out a few weeks ago with Lucky Charms being an encouraged food to have. It's not, they need to stick in their lane. They should not be giving advice on dietary nutrition. So the people who should be giving advice on dietary nutrition are the people who actually know the science behind dietary nutrition, and know not just about macronutrients, but also know about micronutrients, and know that the average male should not be consuming more than 30 grams of natural sugar a day, and the average female should not be consuming more than 25 grams of natural sugar per day. So I wouldn't be taking dietary nutritional advice from someone like Nancy Pelosi. Having a hot dog every day, not a good idea. I personally don't think I've had a hot dog in over 30 years, and I wouldn't touch one. So ultra processed foods, essentially foods that you can't make at home, you can't make from scratch, foods that can sit on a shelf and pretty much never go bad. Those are the types of foods we're talking about. And those are the types of food you want to avoid. You're walking your grocery store, and like I said, you see those frozen spring rolls or the frozen sausage rolls. All those foods you want to avoid. Okay, I promise you, they're going to do nothing good for you. So stick to fresh foods, buy your food fresh. You can freeze it then, but don't buy frozen meats. Don't buy things that come in a box that sit on a shelf and, this doesn't go bad for 4 or 5 years. Don't put that in your digestive system. But ultra processed foods are definitely foods that you want to avoid. Okay, so don't touch them. Anyway, guys, that's it for this week's No Filter Q&A. This episode will be going up on Friday evening. As a reminder, if you have any questions related to your diet, training, or supplementation, please feel free to email me your questions at nick@foreverfitperformance.com, or you can DM me your questions on my Instagram at @fitcosgrove_. Thank you all for watching. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you all next week. Bye for now.